Champions Path, arguably the most hyped up Pokemon set of all time. It was released on September 25th, 2020 during the prime of the pandemic Pokemon hype. During this time, stores nationwide were completely sold out of all Pokemon card products, regardless of what set it was from. It was nearly impossible to find anything. And to send the hype from this time absolutely over the moon, Pokemon made the decision to release Champions Path, a set with 2 amazing Charizard chase cards, and on top of that, Charizard-themed ETBs. And in today's video, I will be telling the crazy story of how I managed to get my hands on some of these insanely hyped up packs on release day. This past weekend, I was going through some of my sealed Pokemon products, and dude, I was finding stuff I didn't even know I had. I did not know I had as much Champions Path as I do. I have a handful of ETBs, but I have a bunch of the Hatrini V boxes, and I had absolutely no idea. Champions Path was one of my favorite sets when it first released, just because of the hype around it. If I'm being honest, it was kind of like a second iteration of Burning Shadows, where the set was kind of butt cheeks, the pull rates were bad, but it had some insane Charizard card as the big chase card, so that's why everyone loved it so much. It came out September 25th, 2020, during the peak of the Pokemon hype from the pandemic and all that stuff. That was when all the cards were selling for record prices. Everything was absolutely absurd during that time. Pokemon products were flying off the shelves. Targets, Walmarts, any other store couldn't even keep the stuff in stock. They were putting limits on how much stuff you could buy. Vendors were having people line up to buy the stuff as the vendors were stocking the shelves. It was absolutely insane. Pre-orders for prices of stuff started going up through the roof. It was absolutely absurd. And I mean, to be fair, with good reason. During the prime of all of that hype, Pokemon releases a set that has 2 chase cards that are both special Charizard cards. One being a Rainbow Rare Charizard, another one being a shiny Full Art Charizard. Those 2 cards were absolutely insane. But for being honest, those were the only 2 good cards from Champions Path. Champions Path did have the ETBs that were themed around the Charizard VMAX, and then the promo card was a normal Charizard V Full Art. Awesome promo, awesome ETBs, awesome artwork on both things. It was like the absolute perfect thing they could have released at that time to just simply add on to all of the hype that was already there. It was absolutely absurd. Everything was insane. It was so crazy at the time. And I remember the day Champions Path came out. Pokemon sets always come out on Friday, for those that don't know. The new sets release on Fridays. It's never like a Wednesday or a Tuesday. It's always on Fridays. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? This set is so cool, so hyped up. I had 2 ETBs pre-ordered, but I'm like, you know what? I want to try to find some more stuff in the stores to open it on the day of release. And so what I was doing was going around to all the different Targets and Walmarts near me. I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I started driving to all these different stores and was going to store as they opened. And just store after store after store after store after store after store after store, there was absolutely nothing. I didn't come across a single Champions Path product. I ended up taking a break around lunchtime, had some lunch. I think I ended up going to the gym and lifting and stuff. Then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back out. Went out, and just again, nothing. I ended up picking up my brothers. They ended up going around and looking with me. We go to a bunch of Targets again, Targets and Walmarts. I had like a route I was going through because I'm like, the stores I was going to hadn't gotten anything in stock yet, and I'm like, they're bound to get something eventually. The shelves are bound to be stocked sometime today, so I don't want to miss anything. We end up going around, and just find absolutely nothing at all. And we're at the end of the day. The sun's starting to go down. And like, I haven't found a single thing. I've seen other people in stores at like Targets and stuff, and I've been talking to them. Are you looking for Champions Path 2? They're all like, yeah. Have you found anything? Nope. No one had found anything. And like, you know what? There's no way like this stuff just didn't release. So I decided to start looking it up. I'm like, I go on like Reddit, Twitter, all those different places to see if people are posting of them finding Champions Path in the store. And I saw a post on Reddit of people saying, if you are having trouble finding Champions Path in Targets and Walmarts or other main stores like that, check your local Barnes & Noble. And I'm like, Barnes & Noble? I go to Barnes & Noble to buy manga and stuff. I've never gone there to buy Pokemon cards, though, at this time. It's like, you know what? Let's head over to Barnes & Noble and see what they've got. So we head on over to Barnes & Noble after hours of searching all day. I've been out since like 6 a.m. At this point, it's like 5:30 in the afternoon. I had been going all day and came up with absolutely nothing. And me and my brothers driving over to Barnes & Noble thinking, maybe, just maybe, they'll have something. We walk into Barnes & Noble, and this is before the Pokemon cards were kept back behind the registers, so they're on a little display in the middle of the upstairs section at my Barnes & Noble. And so we walk into Barnes & Noble, go up the escalator, turn right once we go up the escalator, and straight ahead is the Pokemon shelf. We see absolutely nothing at first, and we walk around to the other side of it, and sitting right in the middle of the shelf is a single Champions Path ETB. We finally found a Champions Path ETB after searching all day long. My brothers and I were freaking out. We were so hyped, so excited. And we grabbed it. Obviously, we're going to buy it. But then, like, you know what we do? We were so hyped. We just grabbed it. We didn't, like, leave right away. We grabbed it and just kept, like, hanging out in the store for a bit. We couldn't believe we had finally found something. We were looking at some other stuff in the store as well. And we're about to leave. And we're walking over the escalator. And we see a worker walking back over to the Pokemon shelf carrying another Champions Path ETB. And so I'm telling my brother, like, go over and grab that right there. I tell one of my brothers to go grab it. And my other brother, I ask him to go ask the guy if they have any more. Because I'm like, if they have me go over, like, I'm a little bit older, I'm like, the guy's probably going to be a lot more closed off, rather than if a little kid goes to ask him about Pokemon cards, he's probably more likely to say, oh yeah, we got some more for you. We went over, grabbed the one he had listed or put on the shelf, so we ended up having 2 Champions Path ETBs at this point, and then we asked him if he had any more, and he said that was actually the last one they had. He's like, you can call other Barnes & Noble to see if they have any more. Most of them are doing what we're doing, where they're only putting out one at a time to prevent people from just buying all of them at once. So we called the other Barnes & Nobles around. None of them had anything, but honestly, we didn't even care at that point. We had finally gotten 2 Champions Path ETBs after a full day of searching. We were cool with the one. We ended up getting another one, and it was absolutely insane. And on the drive back home, we are driving past a Walmart. And I'm like, should we even stop here? We already had the 2 Champions Path boxes. We were going all day. I'm like, I mean, do we really want to stop? My brothers did not want to stop, I will like to note. But I'm like, you know what? I said, you know what? Let's go. Let's go into this Walmart and see if they have anything. We go into the Walmart. From the last time we were at that Walmart to now, so while we were at that Barnes & Noble, the Walmart had been stocked with Champions Path, and the stuff was gone because the new tags were there on the shelf saying, like, Champions Path, Pokemon product, or whatever the specification was for this specific label, and all of it was gone, except on the bottom shelf in the back, there was a single double V-Box. We were so hyped. We grabbed that, bought it, and just were absolutely ecstatic. 3 Champions Path products, 2 ETBs, 1 double V-Box, and we were just so hyped and so excited just to get those 3 products. We then ended, I remember the rest of the day so vividly. We ended up going home. We opened up one of the Champions Path ETBs. I think we got a full art Gardevoir, a Dreadnought, full art as well. And I pulled a gold secret rare mystery food tin because, you know, your boy's the gold card king. And we got decent pulls out of the 1 ETB we opened. We saved the other one and opened it up on a different day. But that night, I remember we went to Little Caesars to get some pizza. Little Caesars is one of the most underrated pizza places out there, and I stand by that statement. Then we came home, I remember. PokeRev was streaming. He was doing some crazy stream of opening up all this different Champions Path stuff. Had him playing, sitting there eating the pizza, dude. It was just, oh my gosh. That was such an awesome day, and that's one of my favorite memories I have from, like, experiencing, like, the Pokemon TCG community or whatever you want to call it. Like, one of my favorite memories of Pokemon cards is that day. It was so awesome. But tying back to why I started this story in the first place was because right now, I was astonished at how much Champions Path I have. The thing is, it was so hard to find right at the start there. It was so scarce because the hype and stuff was around it. But eventually got to a point where there was tons of Champions Path. And it was just sitting on shelves. And I bought a ton of it because of that, 'cause I'm like, this was such a hyped up set. People are going to look back on it years from now with the nostalgia factor. It's got the shiny Charizard, the Rainbow Rare VMAX Charizard. I'm like, this is going to be a very, very, very iconic and sought after set years down the road. So I bought a ton of it, and I have tons of those Hitrini V boxes, and I have a couple of other stuff, like I have a Marnie V box as well. I have a bunch of Champions Path stuff now, but it's funny that on the first day it came out, I spent all day searching for some stuff, and we were so hyped about having 2 ETBs and a single double V box. It was a total of 24 packs, and now I have at least like well over 100 Champions Path packs, and it's just like something I literally forgot about. To this day, Champions Path is still one of the most iconic and hyped up sets of all time, and who knows if we will ever see a set with more hype surrounding it than we saw Champions Path when it was initially released on September 25th, 2020.